Drag racing fan, Monday morning racer here. Lee Craft, your host for Between the Slicks, where we talk drag racing and everything drag racing that is out there. Looking forward to a great show tonight. For tonight, our guest, let me bring up this image card, Chris King. As you can see, it says that he is a Chicago firefighter. Definitely want to hear more on that from him later on tonight. But he will be making his NHRA Nitro Funny Car debut in Denver. Mile High Vandermeer Speedway, he will be starting his career in Nitro Funny Car right there. Tough place to do it. We're going to learn why there, and we're going to learn about him tonight. Definitely love talking to these guys that you might not know and that you need to hear of and learn of, and be prepared to watch the broadcast Sunday. Also, I do want to say it is good to be back on Facebook. For some reason, Facebook did not work last week. Sorry. You can see the episode on YouTube, which it also is streaming live there right now, as well as Twitter, but had a great episode with Quayne Stott of the Southeast Gasser Association. Again, thank you, Quayne, for coming on. Sam, man, good to have you. Thank you for tuning in, each and every one of you out there that are watching. If you would please hit the like button, hit the share button for me, get the word out of Between the Slicks out there so that more people can join in on the drag racing conversation. Before we dive into some drag racing news and before we bring on our guest later, Chris King, I do have a somber note concerning the drag racing world, and one that does affect me personally, especially my dad. Gene Cromer, this man right here, a legend in drag racing in the Southeast, a pioneer of drag racing, passed away. He is connected to his Moonlighter 41 Willis that he campaigned for years. My dad was his crew chief. He also was involved in the early factory experimental and funny car scene, also the early pro stock scene with a Ford Maverick. But Gene, with this restored Moonlighter Willis, was involved in an accident, actually attempting to load the car for a car show in Anderson, South Carolina. And his injuries that he suffered were extensive. We did think that it wouldn't be life-threatening, but after visits to the hospital, surgeries, Gene did not make it out of the hospital. He died due to a non-COVID related virus. Don't know which one, don't know what. I understand that it had nothing to do with COVID, though. But Gene did pass away, I believe, 88, 89 years of age. And if you would, remember the Cromer family, remember my dad as well, James Melvin Craft, longtime friends they were in drag racing and life. And he's definitely sorely going to be missed. Gene is. So, folks, on that note, I'm going to take a quick break, and we will come back and we'll dive in on your questions and what's going on in the world of drag racing. And wow, a lot is going on in the world of drag racing. Let's talk drag racing right after this break.
Yes, you can now get Monday Morning Racer swag. Shop SpeedShark.com, Team SpeedShark. They can hook you up with Monday Morning Racer apparel. Not only Monday Morning Racer apparel, we're talking about apparel for Johnny Placino, Camry Caruso, Frankie the Madman Taylor, and more to come soon. Check them out at ShopSpeedShark.com or at your next race at the Speed Shark trailer.
All right. Again, Sam, thank you for joining in. Tom, thank you for watching. Chris, notice your question. We'll definitely have to get that to Chris when he comes on. Doug, thank you for watching. Destroyer1320. Folks, check him out on his YouTube channel. That's the handle, Destroyer1320. Braden, good to have you on as well, man. To each and every one of you, thank you for watching. Hit that like button and also share if you would. American Hot Rod Entertainment has got a great channel on YouTube. Check him out as well. And it is great to have each and every one of you watching. Later on, we'll have Chris King on. He'll be debuting in the NHRA Nitro Funny Car Ranks this week at Mile High Nationals there at Vandermeer Speedway. Wow. What a week in drag racing we've got. So this weekend, myself, I'm not going to be at the Mile High Nationals. I will be instead at the summer shootout for the PDRA at Virginia Motorsports Park. And if you are in the Southeast, I highly recommend get to Virginia Motorsports Park. Definitely looking forward to a great weekend of drag racing there at VMP. It's going to be warm, so that definitely should produce some great racing action amongst the Pro Mods and Pro Boost and Pro Nitrous, as well as the Mountain Motor Pro Stockers or Extreme Pro Stock. Let me very quickly go on record. I'll put myself on the record and give you my picks for the competitors at Virginia Motorsports Park in the summer shootout. Well, it would be easy to say Jim Halsey with the performance that he has had in the PDRA. Definitely no foul in taking a bet on Jim Halsey right now. But the home man, the guy who owns the track, that's who I'm going to go with. Tommy Franklin will get it done at Virginia Motorsports Park in Pro Nitrous. Pro Boost, how can you pick a winner in Pro Boost? There is no clear front runner whatsoever in that class. Well, I am going to pick Kevin Rivenbark out of the Glot Motorsports camp to win at Virginia Motorsports Park. They have got it done before at that location. I think they will take their shot at the winner's circle and have, again, another moment of lifting up a 660 man in the PDRA. Extreme Pro Stock, I think right now it's hard to bet against Chris Powers. I would not be shocked by seeing a Chris Powers, Johnny Placino final round once again, but I think Chris Powers is going to win it. And this race is going to be for the Extreme Pro Stock camp, a memorial race to Sonny Leonard, the famed engine builder that we lost recently. Was definitely a big individual concerning the Mountain Motor Extreme Pro Stock ranks. That race for the Extreme Pro Stockers at Virginia Motorsports Park, it is going to be in memorial to him. And guess who runs, well, Sonny Engines? Chris Powers. I think he's definitely going to be gunning for it to win it and to honor Sonny. There's also some extra cash to grab as well. So definitely looking forward to the crowd that will be in the ranks of the Extreme Pro Stockers there at Virginia Motorsports Park. And lastly, but not least, Pro 632, Dylan Voss. Looked good at Maryland. They've made strides with that car. They're turning it around. I think Dylan Voss is going to pick up the win in 632. But do not forget about Wes DeStefano and Darrell Stewart for sure. So, Tommy Franklin, Kevin Rivenbark, Chris Powers, and Dylan Voss. They're my picks there at Virginia Motorsports Park. Well, we all know that the Mile High Nationals is definitely hard on parts. And with that in mind, it has been hard on the fields there. We do not have a full count in Funny Car. We do not have a full count in Top Fuel. Pro Stock is not on the premises. Pro Stock Motorcycle is with a healthy crowd attempting to qualify for their racing this weekend in NHRA competition. Pro Mod, though, definitely looking slim that is a hard place to race for the Pro Mod guys, especially the nitrous cars. And this may very well be a telltale sign that we may not see Pro Mod on the mountain in NHRA competition for a very long time. And the NHRA has made some rule changes in NHRA Pro Mod. Remember, when we started the year, we had the manual shifting back in the car, and that has now been reversed going into this particular race. So the Mile High Nationals will definitely be interesting. I'm reminded of Epping. If you remember, Epping, we didn't have full fields in Top Fuel. We didn't have full fields in Funny Car. And it creates some interesting round one matchups that oftentimes we would see later on in the race. So I'm looking forward to seeing qualifying, how everything shakes out, and who has got who in round one of competition, and therefore the points implications beyond the Mile High Nationals going into the rest of the Western Swing. And mind you, I think there is a bit more incentive on winning the Western Swing, sweeping this particular Western Swing, because it is historical. Traditionally, what has the Western Swing been? It's been the Mile High Nationals, it's been Sonoma, and it's also been a trip into the Great Northwest. That's not the case this year. It is the Mile High Nationals, it's the Sonoma Nationals, and then it's the Winter Nationals in summer there at the fairgrounds in Pomona, California. And it may be the only time in the foreseeable future that such a Western Swing is going to be run. So I think you're definitely got an incentive to say, hey, let's win this one. Let's sweep this one, because this one is going to be unique. Well, we do got a question from Braden Godfrey. He says, my question, since you took the epic trip to be on the media stub at Bowman Gray Stadium, what is your most memorable moment there? Either a hidden place that not many people see, or a piece of inside information, or a wild moment on track. Tell me your story from Bowman Gray Stadium. Well, Braden, I will say this. The video is going to be coming out, so make sure check the video when it comes out on the Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel of why you should attend a race at Bowman Gray Stadium. And I would say, concerning the story, it's not one. It's not a moment. You know, it wasn't honestly as wild as people love to make it out. There were no fights. There were no crazy wrecks. Certainly that can happen at Bowman Gray, but I would argue it can happen at any local short track. The atmosphere is what caught me off guard and I was surprised by. You are at a track that is a 1/4 mile long. It's a drag strip long that they're going in circles in. And it's situated in a stadium that can sit about 20,000 people. And it felt like it was a big-time race. That's the energy that it had. So look, watch the video when it does come out. I was actually doing some shooting before I got on Between the Slicks with all of you to talk drag racing. But catch the video. Hopefully it's out in the morning or this weekend. And you all will need to put Bowman Gray Stadium on your list for sure. James says, happy race weekend, MMR. Man, look, thank you for that. I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to a great race weekend at Virginia Motorsports Park. And that is going to be great. I'm expecting a great weekend of racing from the PDRA. American Hot Rod Entertainment chimes in. Remember in 2010 when they ran the Western Swing backwards, starting in Seattle and ending in Denver? That was cool. Man, I think we ought to have shifts in the schedule regularly. I understand dates are placed where they're placed for particular reasons, like when Atlanta was on the schedule. It was on the schedule this year. It will not be on the schedule for years to come for sure. Well, I remember when they moved it from its traditional like first weekend in May or second weekend in May. They attempted it for 2 years. It did not work. They put it in April, and it was rain. There was rain both times. It was in April. It just did not work. So they moved it back to the traditional May date that it got, which Virginia Motorsports Park, they're not going to have their 2021 date. They're looking at 2022. That's solidified. That's already the first piece of the 2022 schedule that we've got for the NHRA, and they're going to be running early in May. So the Virginia Nationals really kind of takes the spot as of right now of the traditional place and time for the Southern Nationals that would have been ran at Atlanta. But yeah, I would like to see schedule changes of even when you see these races ran. Look, for me, for example, and I know Darren, to you are there in Southern California. You might want to cover your ears, but I'm fine with Pomona only being ran once a year, the Winter Nationals. And if you look historically, the Winter Nationals is the more historic connection to the fairgrounds, Fairplex drag racing at that venue, not the finals. Historically, the finals has moved around. It's been at several tracks. I would like to see in the future that the NHRA, they wrap up their season at Las Vegas and do it in conjunction with the SEMA show, end a little earlier, and you've got all the buzz of SEMA and champions and have the banquet in that type of setting. I think that would be a good business move, at least for the NHRA, to establish something like that. But why not have Pomona in the middle of the year? They did that in the 50th year running of the NHRA, if I recall correctly. Why not move some of these dates around? Why not reverse the order of the Western Swing? Why does the Western Swing have to always be Denver, Sonoma, and up in the Northwest? Maybe it could be Denver, Arizona, Sonoma. I don't know. Let's move it around. Why not? Let's have some flexibility. Concerning schedule changes, concerning track news, well, we know we've lost Atlanta. We also now have found out that we are going to lose Houston Raceway Park. Mind you, it's interesting how it came on the schedule initially for the NHRA. Enos, the Texas Motorplex, had a brief soiree with the IHRA, and the NHRA brought on Houston Raceway Park to be a track to, well, keep NHRA drag racing in Texas. And then the Motorplex comes back, and you've got the situation, you got two races in Texas. And nothing wrong with that, because the Texas can definitely handle two different dates of racing of the same series. It could even possibly handle three. It's just that big of a market. But we have found out that 2022, that it will be the last year at the Houston Raceway Park and their national event. It has, and it will be sold and go under development, very similar to Atlanta Dragway. I also have heard that Milan Dragway is up for sale in Michigan. Wow. It's fascinating to me that you have got the track news with Houston Raceway Park, Milan, and then juxtapose that news with, I think, the strange news that currently right now, you can find this link on the Monday Morning Racer Facebook page, that there is this drag strip in West Virginia. It is a 8th mile drag strip, all concrete, with an asphalt shutdown that is a long asphalt shutdown, and it's sitting there dormant. It's been dormant for like 6-7 years in a great location. And why is it dormant? It's not because there hasn't been a promoter involved. There has been. It's not because the community isn't behind it. They apparently are. It's not even because of the local companies around it are against it. It is apparently an issue of red tape, and no one knows who needs to pick up the ball and run it to the end zone, so to speak. And it sits there dormant. Or you've also got the Texas Motorplex in Enos, Texas, they're expanding their national event. They're expanding what they're offering week by week. They're becoming a concert center. They're becoming a place to hold barbecue cook-offs. The Stampede, the Stampede of Speed they're going to have later on this year in conjunction with the Fall Nationals for the NHRA. It's going to be like 9 days of festivities with pub crawls and movie screenings and business connection opportunities in the community of Waxahachie. Fascinating to me, ladies and gentlemen, that we've got this issue where we're losing tracks, and yet other tracks are on the rise. And I do want to be positive, and I want to echo the sentiments of Wes Buck because I agree with him. You talk to any crew chief, you talk to any crew owner, crew guy, you talk to any owner, they out there right now in the NHRA ranks, they want less races. And it looks like we might be in a situation where we're going to have that and yet able to add in easily new venues. So do not take all the closing and all the shuffling in track news as negatives. Remember, we do got some positives ahead of us, just like the Texas Motorplex expanding their operations. Well, look, let me very quickly go through some comments, and we will then bring on our guest tonight, Chris King, who is debuting in NHRA Funny Car this very weekend at the Mile High Nationals. Braden says, I wish NHRA would come back to Ontario. Would be worth the trip to Grand Bend, or if not, Toronto Motorsports Park. You make a good point there, Braden. That would definitely be cool to see. I know Canadians up there love their drag racing. Todd Yuntz, he says, are you ready to eat Italian food in Virginia? I am, man. There's a great little Italian restaurant just outside of Virginia Motorsports Park. Folks, if you ever go to VMP, you need to eat at this Italian restaurant. It is spectacular. Carl says, hi, man. Hey, Carl, how you doing? Doug Core, he chimes in, I'd like to see the schedule reduced to 18 races. Look, that's what most people out there are saying that it really needs to be. Hey, how about this? 18 points races and 2 exhibition races. I think that would be great. Flash Dunk Racing, he chimes in. Thank you, man, for watching. And Going Bracket Racing, another great YouTube channel. I was on their show Tuesday night. Folks, check out Going Bracket Racing, that YouTube channel. Check it out. Sundays for NASCAR. Tuning in from Georgia, new to the drag scene, but I'm loving it so far. Sundays for NASCAR drag racing is spectacular. I personally think it is the most understandable motorsports across the globe. Why? Because we've all drag raced. We've said to somebody, hey, I'll race you from here to there. That's in essence drag racing. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a quick break, and right after the break, we'll bring on our guest tonight, Chris King. Thank you all for watching, and let's get this word from Hero Soap Company. And if you're a dirty, nasty guy out there, buy a bar of Hero Soap and let freedom clean, and you'll help Monday Morning Racer out.
Hero Soap Company is a veteran-owned establishment that produces all-natural, essential oils infused soap that is sold with a portion of the proceeds supporting other veteran groups. Hero Soap Company. Heroes supporting heroes. Be a hero yourself and buy a bar and let freedom clean.
Chris, man, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Lee. How are you?
I am doing spectacular. Could not be doing any better. Hosting a live show, talking about drag racing, getting to talk to you, man. Well, look, talk to me. You got to be excited. You're already in Denver. You've seen the car. Have you got in it, got fitted? Are you ready to go for qualifying?
We are. We spent the last day getting the car prepped for the final stuff here. We got the stickers on there for the sponsors that are helping us out this weekend. Finishing a little loose ends, getting the crew guys up to snuff because we have an all-volunteer crew, so this is their first time on this car, my first time in the car. Terry Totten is pretty comfortable with Denver's environment here, so tuning for him. He's got a good game plan. He's very confident, and the car owner Mark Howard, he's confident too. So it's a new car to us, new car to them, and we're going to take it step by step, do a 400-foot hit first qualifier, check everything out, and then come back and give her hell in second, third qualifier.
All right. Well, look, man, Mike Kristen chimes in and says, Chris, I've been a friend and fan of yours since Frank Parker Top Alcohol Funny Car days. I'm so proud of you getting a Big Show Funny Car ride and wish you good luck this weekend in Denver. And, man, I want to echo those sentiments. Hope you have a great weekend. And you're only able to have this weekend by some of those partners that you mentioned. Talk to me about who's on the car, who's helping you out this weekend.
Well, first and foremost, none of this would have been possible without the help of Chip Lofton. Chip and I have been friends for a couple of years now, just in and out of the pits talking. And I got a phone call from him one day and asked me if I knew who Terry Totten was. And I said, I know who he is, never met him. And 5 minutes later, we were all on a phone call together, putting this deal together. So Chip with VitusCShots.com on the side of our car. Of course, StrutMasters.com helping out with that also. So he's a big player too. We have Competition Products and Howard Cams out of Oshkosh, Wisconsin helping us out. Robert, Lou, and Steve up there. They've helped out with Andy Bull on the Alcohol Funny Car that I'm part of. And we've also done some nostalgia racing with them on board. We have Tripadine Oils out of Michigan, Steve Hodge and Tony up there helping us out a little bit. And JJ Supply of North Carolina, which is a big fire aid dealer. And with me being a fireman, fire aid, I've been passionate about that product since I ever learned about it 10 plus years ago. So JJ Supply, Joey Cudmore is helping us out big time there too. So we don't have a whole lot of help, but Chip's big, and we're looking for more help so we can kind of make some more passes and do some more things at racing. Hopefully make this a little bit more successful and bigger, better things.
Hey, speaking of bigger and better things, we already had one individual chime in well before you were on the show asking how many races you're looking at this year. So is this going to be a one-time deal, get your feet wet, or are you hoping for a few other races as well in 2021?
Well, we have a 3-race deal planned right now. So we're debuting here in Denver. Our next scheduled race is Topeka. I'm pushing real hard to also make the 3rd race Indy at the U.S. Nationals, but we have a little bit of scheduling conflict with Mark and Terry that we're trying to work out. So right now the 3rd one's up in the air, but there's definitely 3 races you're going to see Chris King in a Nitro Funny Car.
Man, congratulations. 3 races this year in 2021, and I know that it has been – you've been patient, I'll put it that way. I remember encountering you 2 years ago. I believe the first time we met was at Charlotte, if I remember correctly. Yep. And you have, you licensed with the Richards team, and you've got a background in drag racing, obviously. So give us the story of getting to this very opportunity this weekend of driving a nitromethane funny car. Why drag racing? Where does it start? And what did it take to get to this very moment?
Well, patience and perseverance is big, man. This is a tough sport and a tough egg to crack for a guy who has no family name, no money, and really no background in this. My dad passed away when I was 10 years old, so I didn't really have anybody pushing me to automotives. I started racing motorcycles as a kid, did motocross, and then my friend and I, Andy, in high school, we got hot rods and started racing at our local track, which was Great Lakes Dragway in Union Grove, because I was born and raised in Racine, Wisconsin. So from there, we just wanted to go fast and go fast and go faster. So from street cars, Andy got into an altered, and we learned how to run the altered a little bit, and then alcohol funny car racing. And I worked as a crew member for a really, really, really long time. Met a lot of people, made connections, but I always sat back and knew that I wanted to drive, and I kind of have a natural talent for driving. Put me behind the wheel of anything and I can wheel it, and I'm usually pretty good at it. So I went and got my license at Frank Hawley's, did the Super Comp class, and a week later I was in the funny car, and I got my license with Frank in Top Alcohol Funny Car in 3 passes. From there I started racing Top Alcohol a little bit with a couple different people like Frank Parker, Sam Jenkins, John Hart helped me out a little bit when we first got going. And then I moved into some nostalgia nitro car racing with Mike Harrigan, and that was put together through Paul Richards Racing also. So we did a little bit of nitro nostalgia, and a few years back with my job, I was talking to my wife, and I'm like, I always wanted to drive a nitro funny car. Who wouldn't? I mean, it's the biggest, baddest ass car in the world, and not many people get a chance to do it. So my wife told me, she goes, look, do it, follow your dreams. And I was actually shocked that she said that. I thought she's like, no, race cars are stupid. We're wasting money. So, I took out a loan on my house and went and got my nitro license with Paul Richards Racing, Paul Smith tuning it. And from there, I've just been working on trying to get sponsor deals together and trying to make something happy. And it finally worked out. Chip made it happen. He's making my dream come true to debut a nitro funny car. And here I am in Denver. I'm staring right now down the track from the media center, watching some really badass SRT Dodge equipment going down the track for media events. So, this is a dream come true. Not many people get a chance to do this. My friends and family are huge supporters. My crew guys, they're all volunteer. They're badass. And we're going to go out there and try to make some waves.
Well, it's like American Hot Rod Entertainment says as he chimes in, firefighter and a nitro funny car driver, this dude is badass. And look, talk to me about the career as being a firefighter, and you're doing it it's interesting that you're doing it in Chicago, and Chicago, it's had a lot of glamorous firefighting scenes around it. For whatever reason, it gets the cinema and the TV shows and all that, connected to it. So take us into what it's really like being a firefighter in Chicago.
So ironically enough, my dad was a fireman up in Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin, where I was born and raised. And he used to ride along in Chicago in the 80s and fight fires with the guys. He brought me down there when I was like 6 years old. And I was like, this is what I want to do. Holy cow, this is awesome. So I knew at a young age I always wanted to be a fireman. I grew up around it, loved it, thought it was cool. It's got a great schedule. And, the pay's decent. You make a good living, lots of days off so I can have hobbies, working on cars, working on houses, boats, whatever. You name it, you can do it in your days off. So I worked in Racine and Caledonia up in Racine County as a fireman for 13 years when I first started. And I got the opportunity to test and join the Chicago Fire Department. And it was kind of like a dream come true. So I made the moves from Racine down to Chicago, which is like the big leagues of firefighting, like you mentioned. Everybody looks to New York and Chicago and Philly and LA to highlight firemen, and we're real busy with fires. So I got the opportunity, I jumped at it, became a Chicago fireman, and I'm currently assigned to Squad 1, which is a special operations heavy rescue. Basically, they're like the Navy SEALs of the fire department. They go on, do all kinds of stuff where the other firemen have a hard time doing. We kind of go in and take care of business. So it's exciting that way. And everybody knows about Chicago Fire, the TV show. I worked for that TV show and was on as a background extra and a stand-in and a stunt double for 4 years before I kind of got into other things too. But yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of cool Chicago ads. I mean, we're busy, a lot of fires, a lot of cool things. As I work are great. The TV shows promote everything. It's a rough city to live in. I'm not going to lie. The crime rate's crazy. Taxes are high. But the job makes it worth it. And a couple more years, hopefully things work out right. And probably 8 more, honestly. And I can look at retiring and move on to bigger, better things unless this whole racing thing takes off. And then I'll retire with where I'm at and hopefully become a famous race car driver, give Ron and John money.
Folks, look at that. Right here on Between the Slicks, we have ourselves a TV star. Man, that's cool. I didn't realize that you had been a part of any shows. I didn't realize that. So that's pretty cool to be a part of that and kind of be a consultant behind the scenes and on it and stunt. Look, you mentioned stunt, man. You got to ask me what were some things you did that the actors couldn't do? So explain it to us.
So when the show first started, like all the fire scenes where it was smoky and climbing ladders and pulling hoses or things like that, we would wear the actors, names on our back, and we'd be in full gear so no one could see us anyway. So we would do like the actual hands-on firefighting tasks, climbing ladders, pulling hoses, working on things. And then the vanity shots would be the stars, obviously, with the longer masks so you can see their faces. But when it wasn't showing faces, it's usually us guys who made a lot less money making things happen. But it was cool. We get to have a cool. All the cast members were awesome to us. Some of them ride along with us at the firehouse and come on real calls with us so they can see what it's like in the firehouse so they can better represent us on TV. So, there's a lot of good people in that. It's a very hectic schedule, but the catering's awesome. It's almost up there with Don Schumacher and John Force's catering. But it's neat. They film a lot of stuff in Chicago PD, Chicago Med, Chicago Fire, and they type all that stuff together. So we've been on, episodes of all three of the shows in various forms when they tie them all together.
Well, we have Braden chiming in with I think, interesting question. He says to you, what is your favorite guilty pleasure in drag racing? So what guilty pleasure in drag racing is your favorite?
Man, there's so many. The whole drag racing environment is so awesome. Like right now, I'm staring down the track watching people run 8-second street cars. But honestly, the one thing that is the best guilty pleasure, and I'm quoting Clay Milliken on this, stomping on that loud pedal. Everybody told me if I drove a nitro car it was going to ruin me, and it did. Everything I drive now is just like, that was fun, but there's nothing like a nitro funny car when you stomp on that loud pedal. That thing is just an animal. I got goosebumps right now just thinking about the feeling you get when that car launches and then wheeling it down the track going 300 plus miles an hour. It's insane. I mean, that's got to be the best feeling in the world and the guilty pleasure that not many people get to experience in drag racing, unless you got, some money you can call Larry Dixon and go for a ride. But it's cool.
What are the expectations this weekend, Chris? You're already going to be in the show, so that's a positive. But, not predicting, but just looking ahead, is it A to B passes? Is it a certain number? Is it a certain mile per hour? Is it how you look in the car? What are your expectations? What do you want to come away with at your first national event?
Well, honestly, I want to win this race, Lee. And if we can do that, great. I mean, realistically, first session we're using as a test, we're doing 400 feet. And that's for me to get comfortable in the car. That's for Terry to get comfortable tuning the car and for everything to work out. So we know we're doing a 400 foot hit on Friday night, and we're going to check our data and go from there. Realistically, Terry Totten's going to make this car go A to B. We're going to be there for rounds. So whoever we're up against, obviously we race our own race, and whoever's in the other lane's going to race their own race, but they better make sure they bring their A game because our car is going to go down the track and we're going to be right there competitive. So if we go rounds, great. I'm excited. And, whatever happens. This is a stepping stone for me, get my feet wet into NHRA, get my name out there, get people talking about me, hopefully get some media going for sponsors and things like that, because I'm paying a lot of this out of my own pocket, and I don't have a whole lot of money at all. So we're making do, trying to make a name for myself, get out there, and just being out here is my expectation. Anything above and beyond is bonus for me, and we'll go from there. So we're just looking at it positively and hopefully make a good show for our fans and represent the firefighters out there and showing you that the little guy with a little perseverance and a lot of determination, you can make your dreams happen and be out here racing nitro funny cars.
That's the beautiful thing for drag racing that still remains, in my opinion. You look at some other motorsports, NASCAR, definitely F1. If there is not a certain amount of budget and engineers and parts and pieces, you've got no shot of winning whatsoever and being competitive. But because of the nature of drag racing, that it's really 4 races within a race, you've got an opportunity to beat one opponent instead of the entire field for your 4 races. And the small guy, the independent guy, the underfunded guy, the Terry Tottens, who knows how to get a car down the track. He's proved that with that top field dragster he's got. He can definitely set you up to have a good Sunday. We've seen it before. You never know what can happen at a drag race.
Absolutely. Terry's real confident. He's telling me he's got secret sauce planned. So he figured something out here with the dragster. He's very confident he's going to make this car work. We just need a couple passes to get him up to snuff with it. So, by first round, he's going to have things figured out. This is going to be a decent car. Are we going to be number 1? No. But do we want to be number 1? No. We want to qualify, which we got 14 cars, so we're good for the show. So we have a little bit of learning to do in the 3 qualifiers. And from there, we're just going to keep improving, and we're going to be there when it matters. It's funny you mentioned the whole NASCAR thing. My brother and I spent the entire last week up at Slinger in Wisconsin watching super late mods on Tuesday and the SRX series on Saturday. And I was telling him, like, NHRA has no representation in SRX. I might know a guy. So we got to make that happen, Lee.
Def, it needs to happen. I would love to see that series continue to expand. I think their first year, they're doing a great job. I love what Tony and Ray Abraham have put together. It's IROC-esque with the people involved, but yet they're not racing at Daytona right now. And they don't have to race at Daytona. They're racing at some great tracks that are local, and they're bringing in that local ringer of wherever they're racing. And they've even won that happened there in Connecticut. So I love what they're doing. I hope in the future, maybe even Ray and Tony can figure out how that car can have a drag race configuration to that car. And they drag race those cars, and maybe drag racers can be involved throughout it. I mean, there's so many possibilities with a series like that, unlike NASCAR being hemmed into a particular format, or even in the NHRA being hemmed into a particular format, which I would say the NHRA needs to work out a way in which to have their own level playing field for all the stars. So we get a Ron Capps, Erica Enders matchup. We get a Cruz Petragon versus a Matt Smith. Could you imagine how that might be at the top end, depending on who does and doesn't stage? So, yeah, what do you think of something like that?
We both might know a guy named Frank Hawley who's got some cars that can be equally prepared and throw us all in super comp and hit the button and go.
Right.
Talk to him. But, yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of talent in the NHRA driving field. I mean, look at Doug Coletta, sprint cars. Austin Prock, sprint cars. Ron Capps can drive the shit out of he can drive the heck out of everything. I come from go-karts, open wheels, SCCA, motocross, and, anything with wheels, I can drive it too. So the guys out here wheeling these cars, guys and girls out here wheeling these cars are phenomenal drivers. Just because we go straight, there's a lot of things these people can do. So it'd be interesting to put us out there with some other ones and see what we can do and represent the NHRA.
That's right, man. Drag racers, when you're going straight, oftentimes it's not straight, definitely in a nitro funny car. And you've ever seen anybody in a pro stocker that has had the gumption to not, put the clutch in and they're going to drive it back, the driving it takes to bring a pro stocker back in the lane. But a lot of talent out there. You mentioned those names, a lot of different formats. I think of Cameron Foray right now. He hasn't been in a car, I don't think, this year in Top Fuel, but he's out there doing off-road racing with the Volkswagens. I mean, there is so much talent in drag racing and driving ability. So, yeah, would love to see SRX step up and have the drag racers come in. Sundays for NASCAR actually does mention he can't wait for Chase Elliott versus Bill Elliott. I completely agree. I'm a lifelong Bill Elliott fan and obviously a Chase Elliott fan now. But he's got a question for you. In particular, he asks, what's your quickest time on an official strip? So I would imagine that your quickest time would probably be a licensing run, but is that the case?
Yeah, the fastest I've ever been is my licensing passes in Paul Richard car. We went 420. The mile-an-hour cone wasn't working, so we didn't get mile an hour. We're guessing it's probably about 300, 310, somewhere around there. But we went 420 in a licensing pass. Other than that, we did 8th mile racing in our nostalgia car, and that went 4.0. And then the fastest I've ever been in the alcohol funny car was a 563, and that's when Steve Harker was tuning for me at the U.S. Nationals. So, we have never been in the threes yet. Hopefully someday we will be. Topeka's looking good for that. I don't know if we're going to get the threes here in Denver with the way the air is and the oxygen levels and things like that. But you never know. Terry's got some tricks up his sleeve. Maybe he'll throw one monster pass down. But I'm anticipating we're going to be running in the fours here comfortably without hurting any parts.
Well, that would definitely be a good weekend in the fours and hurt no parts and come away and have a successful weekend for sure. Mike says that we need to ask you the significance of your funny car number. So clue us in, man.
So anybody who's a fireman right at the top, my competition number from NHRA was requested and they granted it. It is number 343. And what that is significant for is on September 11th, 343 New York firemen were killed. So in the fire service, 343 has become like a religious number. So I'm proudly waving that on my car and representing the memory of those we lost on 9/11 and those we continue to lose from 9/11 illnesses. A lot of my friends that are firemen in New York coming down with cancers and all kinds of breathing problems, and they work the pile, bringing back their brothers. So it means a lot to us, firemen sentimentally, and we just want people not to forget what happened that day and the guys that, heroically rushed into those buildings without a second thought and their lives to save than ever before. So, my whole thing, we do a good job saluting first responders at NHRA and around the world. Sometimes people take for granted what we really do, and not to go on a soapbox or anything, but when anything happens to anybody, the first person they call is the fireman to come fix it, no matter what the problem is. So, hopefully we can go out there and show some love for the firemen. Hopefully I can get some love for the firemen going out my car and have a good time doing it. So that's the whole thing.
That right there is a great story. And man, I appreciate you. Honestly, you're kind of saying, hey, we lost so many. I'm in that industry. I'm in that trade. And I've been blessed to still be here and let me live life to the fullest and kind of carry them on with me. I think that is a cool deal for sure. Well, Chris, look, we're going to take a quick break. Folks, get those comments in for Chris, and we'll come right back after this word from Power Built Tools.
Power Built Tools exemplifies innovation in the tool industry. From hand tools, power tools, and even tool storage. Check out powerbuilt.com for Power Built Tools. And remember, use promo code MMR15 for 15% off at purchase.
So, Chris, you mentioned the Fire Aid product. I have seen that myself in person. And I've got to ask you, explain to everybody how important and how good of a product Fire Aid is compared to, just dousing something with water or sand or something of that nature.
So there's a lot of science and reasons why Fire Aid is as good as it is. The owner, Ron Thames, the guy's a genius. Never went to college for chemistry or nothing, but developed this product. So basically what it does is it makes water wetter. So it makes it better for fighting fire. So you use less water, get better reactions from it. It's non-toxic, non-corrosive. It's good for the environment. And it's what NHRA trusts to protect us on the track. And there's a reason for it. When I first met Joey and learned about Fire Aid and he showed me it, I was blown away. And I was surprised I'd never heard of it before. It is probably one of the best products out there for putting fires out. And not just regular fires, grease fires, oil fires, chemical fires, you name it, this stuff will put it out, and it puts it out quickly and easily. So, me as a fireman, I believe in this stuff. I've seen it work. I know the people who make it. I've become really good friends with them. I'm part of their charity foundation, the Ronnie Thames Foundation, which I support wholeheartedly because the cause is amazing. But these are great people making a great product. And as a fire professional myself, I'm not just saying it. They are not a sponsor of mine. Let me put that right out there so people don't think they're paying me to say this. It is the best product on the market. I carry it in my car, my truck, my RV, my boat. It's in our pit right now. We're working on getting a system for the car so it can protect me in the car. So, I'm 100% a believer of it, and the science behind it's amazing. So anybody has any questions or wants to learn more about it, hit me up. Tons of videos, tons of proof, and I can set you guys up.
Right. I've seen the demonstration done by JJ Supply of North Carolina, and he's sprayed his forearm and hand and then takes a torch to it. Yep. And he's fine. And it's like, wow, every racetrack needs that product because fire and racing is still an issue today with all the safety that we have. There was a young man earlier last week, he was trapped inside a sprint car and suffered 60% burns to his body. And because of the head injuries and the fire injury, he did succumb to those injuries and pass away. And that was and that wasn't even a 410 sprint car. It was actually a micro sprint car, and it can happen anywhere. I've seen mini stocks burst into flames. It can happen anytime, anywhere, and definitely it's a great product. So look, I'm saying all that. If you're out there and you're in motorsports, like Braden, I know you do demolition derbies, and I know some of you are in bracket racing, whatever. Check out Fire Aid. I'm not sponsored by them either. As Chris has said, it's just a great product. It's the best product, and I've been amazed by the product from what I've seen. You need to get it. Well, man, look, you are up there actually a mile high at Vandermeer Speedway. Is that your first visit to Vandermeer Speedway?
It is, Lee. I've never been to Vandermeer before. I've been to Colorado Springs, Castle Rock in the area, but I've never been to the track here. And I got to tell you, this place is beautiful. I'm looking out the window right now at the track. There's a Hellcat SRT going down right now. Leah's out there with them. Matt Hagen's out there with them. But the mountains are beautiful. John Sporty Vandermeer, he's treating me like royalty here. The guy is phenomenal. He's a great guy. This track is beautiful. And they go out of their way to make you comfortable. You know, I'm nobody, really. I'm nobody. I'm out here trying to make a name for myself, and they're bending over backwards to accommodate me. He gave me the media room, which you see right behind me. This is where Alan and all the guys do their work. He let me sign on to their Wi-Fi and all that stuff. So he's been great. The track is great. I'm excited. I can't wait to go down and put a lap on this thing.
Man, they are great people. I haven't met everybody there, but I've met Tammy Vandermeer in Norwalk and got to talk to her, and just happened to sit next to her. And here I am talking to someone that's, part of the ownership of one of the best facilities concerning drag racing in the world. And, it's like I was talking to an old time friend. So definitely some great people. Now I've got to put you on the spot. Vandermeer, Norwalk.
Man.
Compare them, contrast. What we talking about?
Norwalk's hard to beat. I mean, Bill Bader's got an amazing property. I've always loved going to Norwalk because, it's 6 hours from Chicago, all asphalt. You can get $1 ice cream, which is a huge perk for me. I love ice cream. But, Norwalk's great. I can't say I've had great luck racing at Norwalk. I won a couple rounds there. But, I'm a rookie virgin here at Vandermeer. I'm impressed with Vandermeer so far. But let's talk Sunday. Maybe if I'm holding the Wally, I might have a better opinion.
Hey, if you're holding a Wally, it might become your most favorite track, period. And I don't blame you.
I'm telling you, even if I get a round win, this place is going to have a special place in my heart, no matter what. This is where I'm debuting as a professional NHRA Nitro Funny Car driver.
Yes.
It doesn't get any cooler than that. And just saying that, I got goosebumps just saying that. This is such a cool thing, Lee. Vandermeer, everybody loves Vandermeer. It's a great track. Denver's cool. I got friends that are Denver firemen, so I'm going to swing over and visit them, hopefully get them some swag from the track and maybe some tickets for the race so they can come out and cheer me on. And, we look forward to a great event here. This place is really cool.
All right, so Sam and Waterbug85, they've got questions for you and pertained basically what we've just mentioned. What would it mean to you, Chris, to go against John Force first round this weekend? So, mentally, first round, John Force. What are you thinking, man? So
this is a conversation I've actually had with my wife. I've run into John Force numerous times trying to find out what it would take to drive for his team. I talked to a lot of people trying to put things together. The first time I talked to John, I told him my name. Hey, I'm Chris King. He goes, that's a good name. That's better than mine. I'm like, John, you got Force behind you. That's a pretty cool name. He goes, no, you're the king. And you know how John gets. So, it's cool just talking to him. So I grew up watching John run. He ran at Great Lakes Dragway when I was little. I've watched him on TV. I've talked to him in the public eye, and I've talked to him out of the public eye. And there's two different Johns there. He's a great guy. So this guy is legendary. I can't even fathom just the thought of even possibly pairing up next to him and qualifying. All of them. Ron Capps, Matt Hagen's a world champion. J.R. Todd. All these guys are just way up here, and then there's me. But now, we're becoming the same. So it's surreal. It's unbelievable. But, staging next to John, I honestly would be crapping my pants with excitement and joy and thinking of how cool this is that he's in the lane next to me. How can it get any better than that?
Yes, man. I was able to interview him on the Competition Plus Power Hour, and as an individual doing media type things, it's like, wow, this is top level. Talking to John Force, you basically cannot get any bigger than that. And to line up against him, whether you lose or not, hey, I went up against John Force, so that's definitely going to be a cool deal. Hope that it definitely comes to pass and that you pass him. I'd love to see you win over John, and it can happen. It certainly can. Well, yep. Sam, his question is an interesting one. He makes a statement. It's awesome that our sport has so many relatable drivers like Chris, yourself. And he asked, have you ever helped fight wildfires? You ever been a part of that scene?
So I've never fought like huge forest fires. What we get in the Midwest are large prairie or field fires, brush fires we call them. So I've had a couple runs where we've gone on a couple 100 acres burning and chased fires with multiple fire departments, trying to fight these wildland fires. Nothing like the forest fires they do out west here or smoke jumpers. Those guys are a completely different type of firefighting than what we do as structural city firefighters. But over my years, I got almost 26 years as a fireman now. And working in the city of Chicago, I mean, I've seen so much different stuff. And working on the squad company, we go to all the bad stuff and we deal with everything that you can imagine. And, this is a talk not for radio or for podcasts, but, if you ever want to talk sometime, come to my pit. If you can imagine it, we've seen it. One way, some of it's funny, some of it's not. There's a lot of ups and downs in firefighting. And like we said earlier, you get to a point you got to live life every day. It's your last day, because in my line of work, we have a lot of close calls and people don't make it home. And just like that, the young man that died in the sprint car, you never know when your last day is going to be here. Accidents happen, and you just got to live life to the fullest and enjoy and have at it.
Right, you really do. We all need to have that perspective. Realize, I firmly believe, love your neighbor as yourself, that we're all humans and we're all valued, and realize that we are not promised tomorrow. I think of, earlier in the show, I mentioned the passing of Gene Cromer with the Moonlighter and him being involved in the early drag racing scene, and a friend of my dad's. They were just loading the car, and you don't think about strapping in and putting a helmet on and those type of things, loading the car. But whatever happened, there was this accident where the car shot off and he goes over the road, hits a stump, and he is, with no restraints, he was thrown around in the car, and and later on succumbs to those injuries. So you never know.
Tim Wilkerson and I had a conversation about an hour ago. I stopped over because Tim's a real good friend of mine, and he was having problems with his liftgate on his trailer. And he said, this is the most dangerous thing on these damn things. And he's very adamant about his guys walking and working around his liftgates because accidents have happened. People injured. You look at Roy Hill at the starting line a couple months back. Accidents happen anytime, anywhere. I mean, think you're safe, boom. You got to have your head on a swivel, be aware of your surroundings, and hope that the right people are there to help you out if something does go wrong.
Right. So very quickly, we're coming toward the end of Between the Slicks for tonight, but we got a few more questions for you. Shane King says, why didn't you take the dogs with you?
So that's my son, Shane. He's at home watching the dogs because he's going up on a trip with his friends. He couldn't come out, and he works at K1 Speed running go-karts. So he had to work, and he's going on a trip for the boys, and he's watching the dogs, and he doesn't like to watch the dogs. So Shane, keep watching the dogs, feed them, do what you're supposed to do. Don't trash my house, no parties, mom's on an airplane right now, so she's coming out to the race. So him and his sister at home. Hopefully my house is still standing when we get back. But be a good boy, and don't do nothing stupid, because I will find out.
John Barry says that he wants you to know that he is telling you that you need to get back to the firehouse with a win and a T-shirt. So.
Absolutely. So Johnny Barry's a fellow Squad 1 member. He's on my company. He's a good friend of mine. So great fireman, good dude. Johnny, I'm going to do everything I can to win this race, represent us and firemen across the country, do what we can, have fun, and there's definitely shirts for you, that, bud.
So Jake O'Pattery had him on the show at one point. Jake got his license in Top Fuel earlier this year. Now, he asked, what is the significance of your competition number? So briefly, again, share that for us. And he also is asking, what's your mission in drag racing and why Denver? Why debut in Denver?
So just to rehash, the competition number 343 is significant for the number of firemen killed on 9/11 in New York. So it's a tribute to keep their memories alive. My mission in drag racing is go out, have fun, hopefully win, make a name for myself, and the most part is have fun. The guys I race with are great. Coming to the track is great. It's like family. It's a real tight-knit group of people. So just coming to the track, even as a crew guy, because I do a lot of crewing, I love coming to the track. It's fun, and we get to go 300 miles an hour. So why wouldn't you want to do that? So my mission is to have fun, win some Wallies, and hopefully become a household name. I don't think I'll ever be a John Force. You never know. But I wouldn't mind, working my way up to a bigger team and running a lot more races. Why debut in Denver? Tony Schumacher asked me the same question on Facebook. It's a tough track. The air is horrible. Guys are slow. Tim Wilkerson hates running here because he just is in a trick bag. So, yes, why Denver? Because Terry Totten and Mark Howard, the guys who run and own my car, said so. They live in Omaha, Nebraska, which is about 7 hours from here. So this is kind of their home track. And Terry, like I said earlier, is very confident he's got a good Denver tune-up for the car. So why not Denver,
All right, man. That makes sense for sure. Well, look, we are at the end of the show tonight, but I want to give you the platform once again and say, man, to your competitors, friends, family, sponsors, say whatever else you need to say before you hop in that Nitro Funny Car this weekend.
All I'm going to say is everybody who knows me has put up with me. I can be a handful at times, but I am focused 100% on making things happen, and I do what I got to do to get them to happen. So thank you, everybody, for putting up with me, for getting me to where I'm at in the race car, the guys at the firehouse, for when I'm not totally focused 100%, distracted, making phone calls and talking to sponsors and race car things, making trades, guys helping me out days off so I can come and do these things. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for making my dreams come true. And thank you, Lee. Thank you, NHRA fans and everybody that's here supporting us so we can do this.
Well, Chris, look, I am at Virginia Motorsports Park this weekend, so I'm not sure how much drag racing I'm going to be able to catch from the Mile High Nationals, but definitely I will try to have an outlook, and I'm definitely going to be looking at the results, and I hope that you have a stellar weekend, and I hope that there are some heartaches and headaches and upsets and that you are the cause of them, man.
I'm hoping too. You guys can keep an eye on what we're doing on Facebook, Chris King Racing, or my Chris King personal page, Instagram, Twitter. I'm a part of SR Driven Media, so Sadie's going to be out here taking pictures, videotaping, and she's going to be uploading and keeping everybody up to snuff on what we're doing this weekend. So we'll have plenty of information going around, and give me a like, give me a follow, help me build my fan base, help me push sponsor requests, and hopefully we can see you all out here.
All right, Chris, thank you. Have a good rest of your evening and enjoy the rest of those cars going down the mountain.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Be safe.
Folks, Chris King will be debuting in NHRA Nitro Funny Car this weekend at the Mile High Nationals. Be sure to check that out this weekend on TV as it airs on Sunday with the eliminations. Folks, this has been another episode of Between the Slicks. I'm the Monday Morning Racer, Lee Craft. Let me say this. As you're going out, as I'm going out, hit the like button. Still hit that share button. Let folks know about Between the Slicks and what we do here. Talk drag racing and talk to anybody that's in the world of drag racing. There are so many good stories, just like Chris's, that need to be shared, that need to be exposed, that they need some time for people to hear them. And they might not get on other shows, but we'll have them right here on Between the Slicks. So, folks, tell your motorsports friends about Monday Morning Racer. Tell them to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Tell them to like the Facebook page. Follow on Instagram and Twitter as well. Thank you, Tom, for saying good show. Thank you to each and every one of you that tuned in. Next week, I don't know who I got. Seems like I can never get these things booked before we have the next show. Until the next show, more than likely, it's probably going to be someone from the PDRA. We'll see if we can get a winner from the PDRA on as well. We'll see if that works out. Folks, until next time, God bless and keep the pedal to the metal.